Show. This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. Your next car will be with me. You don't have to pay any interest, whether on F-150, Escape, Bronco Sport. I have what you're looking for at Norm at Oak Ridge Ford on Instagram. I'm your guy for Leafs content. I'm going to be the guy to hand you the keys to your latest vehicle. It is November 10th, 2024. The Sunday Spectacular is on the go. Mike in Buffalo, Norm in London. The Maple Leafs on a 3-game winning streak, catapulting themselves back into a respectable position based on all of their talent and where everybody else is playing right now. A 4-1 win over the Habs at Scotiabank Arena last night. And this team looks like it's on a roll, Mr. Augello. Fun for fans to watch. Again, not getting ahead of ourselves, but compared to where this team was a few weeks ago, things are moving in the right direction. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Norm. Yes, the things are going in a much more positive. And if you had said at the beginning of the week, after losing back-to-back against St. Louis and Minnesota was a 2-1 overtime loss. And then the news came out the following day that Matthews was going to be day-to-day with whatever injury. They're not specific about what it is. And you've got 4 games in a row at home against your Atlantic Division foes, right? Boston, Detroit, Montreal, and Ottawa on Tuesday. You'd say, there's a problem. But the interesting thing is this team, since Austin Matthews was drafted first overall in 2016, and he's a central figure, he's one of the best players in the NHL. Whenever Matthews is out, the other players seem to pick it up, and they realize that they have to carry the ball a little more. They can't rest on their laurels and say, okay, Austin's here, so he can do the scoring. Well, they needed. You've got that now. You've got all the stuff. I don't. I do this and nothing happens.
If you're not watching us and just listening, every time I put 2 thumbs up, or if Mike does the same, there's a demonstration and the display of fireworks behind us.
One thumb is a thumbs up and 2 thumbs is the fireworks. But it must be an update on your phone because I don't have it anymore. But anyway,
well, it's a StreamYard thing, and I was just responding to Vietz's 2013 Ford Escape is showroom condition, but it's still 11, 12 years old. So Vietz, get at me at Norman Oak Ridge Ford. I'll get you out of that. Pay a somewhat top dollar and put you into something at 0% interest. Mike, continue.
But Matthews being out, the other players have seemed to pick it up with regularity, and he hasn't been out a ton, but they do seem to do that. And ironically, the thing that is the most interesting is that their power play has been so bad for most of the season, and then all of a sudden now it's picked it up. And obviously it's not. They're trying to feed Austin Matthews. He's the sniper. He's the trigger man. Every team knows that. You've got to find a way to get him open. But now, with the group that they have right now as the top power play, with Nyes playing in front of the net, with Tavares, Marner, Nylander, and Riley, they're scoring power play goals like they're going out of style. So
3 against Boston, just absolutely bust out. This team was 31st in the league with the man advantage, 10%. Now it's into the top half of the league, 14th. And working its way up with reckless abandon. Mike, gotta ask you, for the ails that were holding the Leafs back, do you believe that not having Austin Matthews there has gotten the rest of the guys to tighten their skates up a little bit more and kind of do it without him? He can come back and augment this group, but look, don't rely on Austin Matthews. We've got enough talent here the way it sits. And it just seems as if with him out and this alignment of getting on track, it's I wouldn't say it's appropriate to lose your top player, but the necessity is that you got to find your own way without him. And it seems like the Leafs have done that.
Yeah, no, they definitely picked it up. I think what they have done is they're playing without one of the league's best snipers there. They have to play a more responsible two-way game. Now 5-on-5, they haven't been scoring. They did score yesterday 5-on-5, but 5-on-5 since Matthews has been out, they haven't scored that much. But power play, they're taking advantage of the man advantage. So that's encouraging. Now, you have to have a balance. You have to have your power play scoring. You have to have even strength scoring. Yesterday they got a shorthanded goal from Marner, so that always helps. But they're also getting really good goaltending, which we'll talk about in a second. But it's all the pieces are coming together. But again, this is 3 games. And this is the regular season, and this is right now, that's what you need to accumulate points to make the playoffs and to put yourself in the best position when the postseason comes around. The proving ground for this team will be in mid-April when they make the playoffs and who they play against. And until then, they have to pile up the points, but it really doesn't mean a lot.
Mm-hmm. This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. Check out oakridgeford.com. They're our sponsor. Anytime you can click on their content, put a lead in, that does help Mike and I earn a couple of dollars here and there. And when there's sponsorship pushing us forward, that allows us to continue to create content for you. And it's certainly our pleasure. Like the content, subscribe to the channel, look out for Convo Shorts. We do appreciate you being here. It means a lot. Make sure to leave a comment when you see the content on YouTube. Everybody's so lively in the chat, but I'd like to see 40, 50, 60 comments, maybe even 100+ comments for every upload we do. That would be great, just to kind of show that we can punch above our weight here at the Leafs Convo. A week ago, Mike, we were wondering if the Leafs were having trouble buying into Craig Berube's way. It's amazing the difference a week can make, and playing a team like Boston is in your head and dominating the way they did. Spiritually, how do you think they got that win, and what happened during that 60 minutes got the Leafs positioned in the right way, spiritually, emotionally, and obviously statistically?
Well, I mean, taking the whole the 3 games in total, I mean, especially the game against Boston, against Montreal.
Right.
The game against the Bruins, if you go back to when they played at TD Garden, they luckily got a point late in that game thanks to a Matthews goal late in regulation, and then lost in overtime on the Marchand goal. So at home, you expect this team to play significantly better.
Right.
And they did. They played, they were positionally sound. They got really good goaltending out of Stolarz, and they were full marks for the victory against Montreal. That, they brought it up in the broadcast yesterday. They faced, they hurdled 48 shots at Samuel Montembeault, but how many of those were really good scoring chances? I would say that there weren't a ton. Last night there were a lot more. So I'm just saying that they played much better, and you should play much better at home than you do on the road. But on the road against 2 teams, one of which is not going to make the playoffs, the Canadians are one of the worst teams in the league. You need to win that game on the road. They didn't, but now they won the game that they should win at home. And against Detroit, who is in that mix with 3 or 4 teams in the Atlantic Division battling for a playoff spot. You're better than them. They've got to beat Ottawa to complete the sweep. And Ottawa, like Buffalo, always gives them trouble.
Right. And therein lies the dilemma with this team, right? You can beat the competition that you might not be expected to beat, but you play to the level of teams that you should beat. And it's happened year in and year out. Has it impeded the Leafs from getting to where they want to go when it comes to the completeness of a regular season? Not really. I mean, they're still putting up 110, 115, 120 points, but you've left some points on the table against teams that you probably should have been able to beat. And I mean, that's been the difference between winning a division and, starting on the road. It's not even just about the points. It's about the spiritual aspect of overcoming teams that you really should. So this is a big test for the Leafs, considering they've been on a bit of a run. The uptick in offense has been fun to watch, whether they're scoring on the power play or 5-on-5. Mike, we're going to complain one way or the other. If it's all 5-on-5 and it's shots from the point and they're scoring enough, we're going to wonder where the power play goals are. We're going to wonder where the crash and bang goals are. If it's on the flip side, we want to see shots. We want to see 5-on-5. At the end of the day, I just want to see this team compile the offense that it should. And you think Max Domi has no goals. Austin Matthews is probably 6-7 goals shy of where he should be, right? And this team's 10th in scoring, 50 goals. I mean, the top team is 67 goals. So there's a little to be desired there, but it's doing better. And let's be honest, the goaltending has been quite a surprise, at least from Anthony Stolar's perspective, and Joseph Wall with a nice confidence booster last night. Things are, again, looking up for a team that really should be on the up based on the talent that it has at its disposal.
Yeah, I think right now the confidence from Berube and Stolarz is higher than what it was with Wall, because Wall started out the year injured. But Wall, I mean, I thought he played pretty well yesterday, but it was one of those low event games. And that's sometimes those are tougher because you don't face a ton of shots.
Right.
I think he had midway through the game, I think Montreal had 5 shots on goal. Then there was a flurry of shots and he gave up the only goal. But I thought he was solid, especially in the third period, where one goal early in that period gives Montreal life, and Wall was strong. So, like right now, I mean, they have a couple. I think they have another back-to-back coming up. You're going to see both goaltenders play. But like I said last week, I think the most important thing right now is to find out what Joseph Wall is. Whether that means you play them in a tandem and you rotate them, fine. But you cannot just go with Anthony Stolarz.
But Mike, let me jump in here.
Yeah.
One of your concerns about Stolarz was that regardless of him earning a ring with Florida, he didn't play a hell of a lot. Right. There was a belief that, whether right or wrong, and you can make your case that many games, 27 games, that's what you should expect from Anthony Stolarz. And anything more than that, you're going into uncharted territory and you could be in a dangerous circumstance.
Correct.
I mean, through 10 games, I mean, he's looked damn good. 2 goals against average. He's still young enough. Why not let him run? Why not let him go and let Wall complement Stolarz?
Because
if it's working, why try to correct it?
Because in his history, he has had injury issues as well.
Both have had injury.
I know, but that's why you cannot go with one guy as the main guy. I think at best you go with them as a tandem, and you don't overload one with work. Now, I think the most important. What Anthony Stolarz is. He's a veteran goaltender. Mm-hmm. He's been good in a few different places. I don't think he's a number one, but he's a commodity that you know. You don't know what Joseph Wall is, and you have to find that out, because are you going to go into mid-April and say, okay, well, we don't know what Wall is. Wall's played in the last couple playoffs, and he's played well, but are we going to go with the guy that we played 55 games, Stolarz, or are we going to go with the guy who we thought is our number one? You have to find that out before the playoffs get here. So that's why I'm saying at the absolute worst, they should be splitting duty. I would give Wall more work, but I can't deny the fact that Stolarz has played really well. And that's what Berube's right now he's going to go with, is the guy who's playing the best.
What do you believe Stolarz understood his role to be this season when he signed a contract with the Leafs?
I think he was brought in as a 1B, not as a potential starter, but as a guy. We've got a young goaltender who has never been a number one starter. We want you to play more than the typical backup. The backup would normally start 25 games, maybe a few more. We want you to start 30 to 35. Take the load off them. Now, Wall gets hurt. He's thrust into the spot. And he's done well. So I think that Berube is rewarding him. And Lars is rewarding them with excellent play. So if you have two goaltenders playing really well, that's great. I mean, then that's you go to town on that. I mean, right now, like in New York, you got Igor Shesterkin, who's one of the best goaltenders in the league, and you got Jonathan Quick, who gets a 4-0 shutout out of Detroit against Detroit. Right. You want two goaltenders that play well.
Right. I like the fact that neither of these guys have really proven themselves, and there's a lot to prove in terms of longevity and being there night in and night out. Both are still young enough. Stolarz is 30. How old is Wall? Like 26, 27?
26.
Right. There's still so much potential for both of these guys. As long as the relationship remains positive and upbeat, and there's going to be a quiet competition, but they're spurring them each other on with support, and there's going to be lots of ice time to go around, lots of opportunity to go around. If Berube wants to have a platoon system where it's one guy's for 2 games, the other guy for 2. Someone gets hot for 3, but you're never going to leave anybody behind. I'm for that, but Anthony Stolarz has been I wouldn't say a pleasant surprise, and I'm not really surprised by his play, but it's been nice that he's grabbed the reins and done as well as he has, considering this team has hiccuped a little bit as it's gone forward. This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. Mike in Buffalo, Norm in London. Like the content. Subscribe to the channel. Michael Matthew, wow. I will say this about Mitch Marner. He is finally going to the net and scoring, so I'm loving this if he can keep up this play. Mm-hmm. This exemplifies where the Leafs are right now in terms of how people feel about them. They're on their way forward in a positive way. And Michael Matthew, who's been a detractor of Mitch Marner for a very long time, and he's had a lot of reasons to be that way. Feeling positive about number 16? What's your take on his play, Mike? Just a few goals, but man, he's picking up the assists, and you can see the leadership from him and Nylander, and then Tavares chipping in with Matthews not really having the greatest season and being out right now. These guys, there's enough leadership and enough capability there, and if they can do it in unison in a harmonious way, that's great for the team.
Well, Berube sang his praises after the game against Boston. And he played really well last night, doing the things that we're accustomed to Mitch Marner doing. His vision, his anticipation are top notch. So I think Leaf fans need to sort of just look at this situation with him as sort of a thumbnail sketch. It's this year.
Right. That's all that matters.
Right. So he's not waiving his no move clause. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be here for the rest of the year and through the playoffs. I have doubts of whether he's going to be back, but that doesn't matter right now. Right now, what matters, he actually improves his leverage in situations if they do go far. So
right.
There's a lot of internal pressure on him, but right now, he's playing well. He started out slow. He's playing well. That line with Nyes and with Matthews was very effective. And, I have to say, like you said, Tavares has picked it up. Tavares is playing really well. Nylander's got, I think, 11 goals now. The guy who, and I've been saying this for 2-3 years, Matthew Nyes, I'm not saying he's a superstar. Matthew Nyes is a top 6 forward. He's big. He's tough. He's physical. He's fast. He is a player on this team.
7 goals, Mike. That's pretty awesome. 7 goals in 16 games. I wouldn't be surprised if he scores 30 this year, and that would be great for a guy in his second full season.
Yeah, which is the reason why I've been advocating them trying to get him signed now, before the summer.
Right.
But I don't know. There supposedly was some talk about that, but just the fact that he's an impact player, he's sort of a unicorn. He is not he's not a small, slight forward. He's a stud. He's a big, burly guy. Now he's not going to be Tom Wilson. He's not going to drop the gloves. We don't want him to drop the gloves. Put up Michael Borland's question in the chat here because I want to touch on that.
Okay, do you think there's a response to Ridley Gregg on Tuesday?
Just
establish what the response would be to.
Okay, last game of the Ottawa-Toronto regular season series last year, Ridley Gregg takes a slap shot from about 5 feet into the empty net as a punctuation mark.
Okay.
And Morgan Riley let his displeasure be known by basically giving him a comb.
Right.
And that game
as he should have.
Right. And of course the NHL suspended Riley for 5 games.
It's over, isn't it?
No, it shouldn't be over. Because Ridley Gregg is a rat. He is a piece of crap. I mean, that's his role. He gets underneath the skin of players on your team.
Spike 11, no, it's forgotten. Ottawa is irrelevant. Can you do 2 things at once? Get your retribution and beat the shit out of that team and just let it go.
No, they won't. Okay, first of all, they won't let you let it go because Ridley Gregg will be the same player, and he did it. I think he did it recently when they were playing against Buffalo when he was trying to get underneath the skin of Tage Thompson. That's his job.
Will going after Ridley Gregg cause the Leafs a disruption in the positive movement forward, or can they gift this guy and fucking finish him off and teach him a lesson and keep moving forward in a positive direction?
But it has to be, and this is okay. And here's my argument: it cannot be Morgan Riley. It cannot be William Nylander. It needs to be Steven Lorenz or Simone Benoit or Ryan Reeves. That's your friggin' job. Do it.
So Craig Berube wasn't the head coach when this happened, but would he know enough? Does it still reverberate through the dressing room enough that because he's the guy who's going to have to send out the directive to make something happen?
I think if he doesn't know already, because Mike Van Ryn was on the Leafs coaching staff last year, the players know. The players have long memories. Ottawa will not let you forget. Ottawa has Nick Cousins. They have Brady Tkachuk. They have Ridley Gregg. They have a bunch of rats. Now, Brady Tkachuk's one of the best players in the league. Don't get me wrong, but he loves to stir the pot. Ottawa was in Buffalo on Tuesday, and at the end of the game, they were losing, I think, 5-1, and Brady Tkachuk started some crap. You know the way you prevent him starting some crap? You start some crap. You make it known that this will not stand. You don't have to let your best defenseman, which Morgan Riley is and was last year, to have to do that. You make it clear we're not going to stand for this crap. And
this is at home too, Mike. This game's going to be at home too.
Yeah.
Like I know, we've seen many a sleepy Tuesday night affair from the Maple Leafs, and it's gotten them off track. But it will be really interesting to see how they take it to Ottawa to, continue this struggle with a team that has seemed to have had its way with the Maple Leafs. Obviously, get the retribution that it believes it needs to, complete because of what happened with Ridley Gregg last year, and win the game. Are these things mutually exclusive, Mike? And are the Leafs capable of taking care of multiple things at once with the goal of staying on track, picking up the points, and moving forward in a positive way?
I'm not saying that they should, at the drop of the puck, all 5 guys go at Ridley Gregg and do the pursuit of him and retribution on him to distract from everything else in the course of the game. Right. If you have an opportunity, if you're Jake McCabe, who's a physical defenseman, or Simone Benoit, or Lorenz, or Reeves, if you get a chance to put him in your bomb sites, you drop a bomb on his ass. That's your job.
Yeah, Chris Daniels. This is why we signed Ryan Reeves. Go earn that paycheck.
Exactly. And my assertion, Chris, is if he's not doing this job, he should not be on this roster.
So does the Chief affiliate that? Or does he facilitate that? Let me rephrase that.
No, I don't think. No, I don't think he has to. That's an internal thing with this team. He wasn't here, like you said. They were. They know, and and it's up to them internally to say, okay, this guy. This is all this guy does. He's a decent player.
Did the Leafs take things personally enough to go back and dredge up the anger from what happened then and enact revenge or retribution in the moment? You could accuse this team of not having enough heart over the last several years, and one of the reasons why they have never really accomplished much outside of big regular seasons. This will be an interesting test.
Yes, it will, and it always is against Ottawa, especially in Ottawa. But this game will be in Toronto, and Ottawa always plays really well in Toronto. And all I'm saying is, Brady Tkachuk has got 23 penalty minutes. He's a pain in the ass. He's a great player. He's an unbelievable player. Ridley Gregg has got 2 goals. He's a third liner. Okay, Nick Cousins, we know, is a pain in the ass. He's been a pain in the ass when he was in Philadelphia, when he was in Florida. If you don't think that Ottawa is going to try to stir it up against Toronto, you got another thing coming. Of course they are. That's what they do. Now you have to take advantage of them because they can't kill penalties. Right. Their goaltending, I think, is even though they got Ullmark, is not. Ullmark didn't play very well against Buffalo last week. So I mean, there are ways to beat them. These are the teams that you have to beat. And if they're gonna play with fire, then you fight fire with fire.
Yeah, I can't imagine Travis Green's against it either. So
no,
we could be in for it, and that makes Tuesday's game that much more intriguing. I'm really excited about it. So Auston Matthews with an undisclosed upper body injury. Max Pacioretty goes down after a nice pregame interview with the panel. Leading into the game about how things were going well for him, left with a lower body injury. So give us a bit of a cross section of injuries, guys leaving, coming, and your take on it all.
Well, starting up front, I mean, Matthews is eligible to come off injured reserve on Tuesday. Do I think he will? I mean, right now, let's just say this. I think Ottawa, not that they'll run them or anything like that, but Ottawa will play a physical game, and whatever who knows what it is with Matthews. It's concussion, or they said upper body, it could be, collarbone or shoulder. We don't know what the injury is. But if, you think that you can make it through this game without Matthews and you don't want him to, get dinged up immediately right after, then you hold him out for one more game. The Pacioretty thing is unfortunate because he was playing very well with Tavares and Nylander. I don't think, and I'm just playing amateur physiologist here, it did not look like a recurrence of the Achilles injury. He was holding like the back of his leg. It could be a hamstring. We know hamstrings are really long and arduous in terms of getting back, so he could be out for weeks. So we hope that's not the case, but it didn't look promising. But we'll find out more early next week. Now, the one benefit that they have is that Connor Dewar is ready to come off of IR. That was going to be an issue in terms of the roster, but if we suspect that Pacioretty is going to be out long term, like weeks, then he goes on LTIR and they bring Dewar back. On the blue line, now that they've traded Liljegren, they still have 9 defensemen because Jani Hakanpää was doing a conditioning stint with the Marlies. He is close to being ready. But right now, they don't want to mess with their blue line. I mean, Connor Timmins scored a goal yesterday. He's playing really well. The 6 that they're playing right now are playing really well. They may send Philippe Myers down for a conditioning stint because he hasn't played. He's only played 1 game. I don't think they want to risk losing him on waivers. But I don't think there's a trade possibility here. I just think it's a numbers game, and they're going to probably keep 8 defensemen. Right. So right now, Hakanpää, I want to see Hakanpää in the lineup, but don't mess up a good situation. Timmins is playing really well, so just keep playing the top six.
Well, the Leafs aren't devoid of capable bodies. So in the grand scheme of things, are they well situated with enough personnel who are capable to endure injuries to the top player, injuries to the complementary players?
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, especially on defense, I think they are. They're like I said, they're 8, 9 deep. You can never have enough defensemen. I don't think, unlike previous years, I do not think the Leafs will be going out at the deadline and having to add a defenseman. Right. I do think the possibility of them maybe adding a forward, because if you look right now, when Matthews is back, then you have Matthews, Marner, and Nice. The number 2 line, now that Pacioretty is out, and it sounds like Kalle Järnkrok is not even close to being back. You're probably moving Bobby McMahon up into a top 6 role with Tavares and Nylander. I think he can handle it, but I don't think it's ideal. And then you're talking third and fourth line, Connor Dewar. There's some thinness there. I think if they're going to go out before the deadline to make any kind of moves, it's probably going to be, third line center or depth wingers. Right. which are cheaper to get than defensemen. Defensemen are always very costly at the deadline.
Look, Berube may have to be the mix master for a while, and it may thin things out. But if you've got, 88, 16, and 91 playing at peak, they'll be able to carry the day. And when Matthews gets back, he's going to get hot at some point. That's the beauty of it, Mike. I mean, you've got 2 young goaltenders, both wanting to achieve. The blue line seems stable. The 3 of the top 4 are playing as good a hockey as they've played in a long time. This is good. I'm, again, super excited and interested to see what happens on Tuesday with Ottawa at Scotiabank Arena. The Leafs are on a run. They've got to continue that. But they have unfinished business with losers, right, who go and do stupid things. And, there's the Leafs and how they put points up, but it's the Leafs how they shut opponents up. It's just as important right now, especially when you're, at this stage of the chronology of this group and what it's trying to accomplish, right? There has to be a spiritual aspect. There has to be a bravado that you're able to uphold and shove down opponents' throats when necessary. Mike, last couple of words to you and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I'll just say this. One thing that the Leafs will take a look at before the deadline, and, right now the Marlies are playing wonderfully. They've only lost 1 game in regulation. Right. They have, Alex Steeves has got 7 goals in 9 games. He's never really been given a lengthy opportunity at the NHL. Maybe he gets a look. The kid who I think will get significant NHL time before this year ends out is Nikita Gurbiankin, the Russian kid who they brought over, former 5th round pick. He played really well at training camp. He was energetic. He's the one who got into the fight and was, raising the roof. Right. He's got 7 points in 9 games in the American Hockey League after playing in the KHL with Magnitogorsk last year. He's only 21 years old. If he, this is, I'm not saying that, this is a guy who's going to come up and play top 6 minutes, but if you need players to contribute in a bottom 6 role, this might be the guy in the short term that they give a look and, somebody. Yeah, exactly. He's got talent and he's got a motor. So I think that's somebody we might get a chance to see if injuries happen down the line.
But one thing we've never really needed from any of these support guys or players emerging is offense. The Leafs have always been one of the best offensive teams during the run from Matthews being drafted, Marner, Nylander, Tavares being signed till now. It's never really been about someone coming to ignite the offensive aspects of this game. They've always been there. It's, can you be responsible in your role? Can you help keep the puck out of your net? Can you ignite this team in other ways other than with offense? It's a bonus, right? If Matthew Nye scores 30, it's good for him. It's a bonus. If Max Domi scores 2 goals, this year. It's a bonus. They've got offense in spades. It's been everything else that's been a challenge here and there that is either move this team forward incrementally or set it back. What are you working on, Mike? Where can people catch up with you?
Well, right now covering the Sabres for the Hockey News. I mean, I'll be commenting on the Leafs during games on X at Mike in Buffalo. But right now, mostly covering the Sabres for the Hockey News. But stay tuned.
So it's probably an inappropriate question to ask during the the Hall of Fame game and all of the Remembrance Day ceremonies going on. But I asked it in a poll, youtube.com/Leafs Convo/community. The question is, do you get rid of the national anthems before NHL games? And I got roasted. 65% said no, and some respondents took offense to the question. I just want the game to play, and I can't imagine people in San Jose really want to hear the Canadian national anthem, right, sung improperly by somebody who just learned it. Like, the pomp and circumstance of the anthems, like, what the hell? 9/11 was 30 years ago. Like, we don't need to gin ourselves up, do we?
Yeah, but the anthems were sung before that. Right now, what the NFL does, and of course they did this in the wake of the Colin Kaepernick situation, is that they do the national anthems at NFL games. They just do it before 1 o'clock. If the games are 1 o'clock, they do it at 12:55. It's not on TV.
Why do we need to see it on television?
Right. I mean,
the same singer for the Leafs comes out and she does commercial, voices commercial, sings commercial. I don't want to watch it.
Okay. I'm at every Sabres home game, and the singer that they have now does an excellent job. She does a very, very quick paced national anthem, does it really well. I have no problem, and I have no problem with I think it's Natalie Morris who does the Leaf games. If you don't want it delayed to the games to start at 7:08 instead of 7 o'clock, then have the national anthem before the TV coverage.
I don't know why we have to see them on television.
That's what I'm saying. If you want to do it for the people in the arena because it's part of the event and it's part of hockey history, then do that. Right. I mean, I'm not for eliminating it because in the U.S. and for Canada, it's for pride purposes. It's for national unity, but it doesn't mean it has to be on TV. And it's Scotiabank Arena. When they do the Canadian national anthem, they roll out the Canadian flag and everybody and that's the optics of that are fantastic. But do we need? They do that because it's on Hockey Night in Canada and everybody sees it. That's why.
Right.
I don't think it's changing, but whatever.
I have no philosophical disagreement with anybody who sings the national anthem for national pride. I'm as fervent a Canadian as you're going to find. I come from a war family. My grandfather was buried alive by the Germans in World War I. My uncle was a paratrooper in World War II. Many people in my family were reservists. I love the United States. I've spent so much time in the U.S. I have tons of friends and family there too. So I'm kind of a North American guy. I'm not against it. I just want to hurry the fuck up and play the game. I'm not going to get off the couch and hold my hat over my heart because the
sing it at 6:55 when they're still talking about the pregame on Hockey Night in Canada. We don't have to see it, and then it's.
But it's been we've been in circumstances where it's Leafs Boston and or Philadelphia Leafs back years ago. It gets divisive, right? The chance of USA. There's booing of the national anthems, and then we can ask the question there and then. Are these things even relevant? Is there any purpose? Because, if someone's booing your national anthem, all of a sudden those stupid Canadians or those dumb Americans, and it's just like, what do we even need this stuff for? We're not against each other. Let's just play the game, man.
The one nice thing about last night was that when the Leafs play a Canadian team, they only sing the Canadian national anthem, and that cuts the time in half.
Right. Hey, does the singer in Buffalo sing the Canadian anthem even when the Canadian?
Yeah, because Buffalo has 20% season ticket holders from Southern Ontario.
Right. It's just the most Canadian of the American cities, and that's what I really love about Buffalo. You know, I can go in and get out of this stinky country and go to the U.S., but there's still a bit of a Canadian feel to it.
You can get a coffee crisp in Buffalo.
Yeah, I love it. Mike, thanks so much for your time. OG's Converse, thanks for being here. Like the content, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends. We really appreciate you being here. Season 7 is rocking and rolling. We're like 12, 13 episodes in, and it's just, where's the time gone? But there's just so much time that we can share going forward. I'm excited for Tuesday's game. I'm excited for where this team is going right now, kind of finding its way. I absolutely love it. K-Dog, oh my God, Norm, I'm so with you in the arena. It's fine for TV viewing. Always say just drop the puck. You've heard me, guys. I'm not against Canada. I'm not against the anthem. I'm not against the United States or its anthem. Just want to watch hockey. I just feel like the anthem is more for people in the arena if it means anything to them. I mean, at least gets people off their ass, stops them from, you know, laying in their seat and drinking so much. I mean, they can get up and stretch and, you know, take your hat off and pay respects and get going. It's just for television purposes. Play the damn game. Mike, maybe we sneak a weekday show in. We'll see. I'll be in touch, okay? For Mr. Augello, I'm Norm. The Leafs Convo is out. Have a great weekend.